The Atlanta Falcons may be the most cursed team in the history of the National Football League. Today, I'll go down the list of some of the biggest mistakes and blunders to ever happen to the franchise. First things first, out of all the things, the elephant in the room for the Atlanta Falcons, Kirk Cousins, Kirk O'Chains, Captain Kirk, and of course, Michael Penix Jr. Kirk was originally brought in to be the savior of the Falcons and release them from quarterback purgatory, but unfortunately, all he did was really play 2 good games per year, and even then, it was only against Tampa Bay, and he couldn't even ball out against the Saints, our in-division rival. But Kirk playing mediocre isn't what makes this a cursed situation for the Dirty Birds. It's what his contract did to the cap space. Back in 2024, all other Falcons fans, including myself, were mostly pretty excited to hear that we had signed Kirk Cousins. He was coming off of a relatively good season with the Minnesota Vikings despite tearing his Achilles tendon. Fans and the organization knew that there would be risk, but it was Captain Kirk. What could go wrong? Right? Well, actually, a lot. The first being that the Atlanta Falcons signed an aging quarterback coming off an Achilles tear, a whopping $180 million contract across 4 years, with $100 million of that money being guaranteed. Now, the Falcons have since restructured Cousins' contract, giving us fans hope for him to be cut from the squad. Instead of paying him quite so much money up front, the Falcons have taken just over $30 million out of Kirko's guaranteed pay for the 2026 season, down to just $2.1 million. However, that means if Atlanta chooses not to cut Cousins' time in Atlanta short, they would then owe him $67.9 million in guaranteed money for the 2027 season. This is a vital decision that will have cap implications all the way into the 2027 season, even if Cousins is still rostered by Atlanta come the new league year in mid-March. And after spending an already large chunk of the limited cap space on Kirk Cousins, the Falcons turned around just a month later and drafted a rookie quarterback in the first round of the NFL draft. Not just in the first round, but with the 9th overall pick as well. Many fans were skeptical of this, and rightfully so. Why would Atlanta, who just paid an aging quarterback $180 million, draft a rookie quarterback who is also injury prone? I see both sides of the argument. As a fan, I was confused and even a little bit angry myself. A foolish front office was proving yet again why they had the reputation they had. Anyway, we're talking about Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix right now, not Terry Fontenot and Rich McKay. While Penix did lead Washington to a national championship appearance in his final year in the Big Ten, he did so with a big prior list of injuries. Before he transferred to Washington, the young quarterback played for the Indiana Hoosiers. While at Indiana, he suffered not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 4 season-ending injuries. He suffered 2 ACL tears, both of those being in his right knee. Then, in addition to those injuries, he also injured both of his shoulders during his time in Indiana. So, a quick recap. Atlanta, who is coming off of years of Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder having plagued the on-field action in the quarterback position, they signed Kirk Cousins to a deal that should have kept him for 4 seasons, then drafts an injury-prone quarterback at number 9 in the draft in the exact same year. Atlanta fans were confused. However, hope was held out. Then the 2024 season rolls around and Kirk Cousins is playing average ball at best. Then, of course, because it's our luck, injury strikes Kirk Cousins again. This time in his throwing arm. Cousins played injured without telling any staff members, and eventually the pain caused him to sit out as he just could not bear it any longer. This calls in Michael Penix Jr. Penix took the field and also played mediocre ball at best, but you can't really blame the guy. It was his rookie season, and also when Matt Ryan started for the Falcons in his rookie season with just about 4 games left, he had comparable stat lines, so we couldn't really blame the guy just yet, right? Then the 2024 season had come to an end, and the Falcons yet again missed the playoffs, something that should have changed with Cousins at quarterback. Now, with another season gone, Michael Penix is starting the 2025 season in the quarterback position for the Dirty Birds. He played decent games, some good, some bad, of course, until Penix got a bone bruise in his left knee, and not long later, he announced that he had a partially torn ACL also in that left knee. So now the Falcons are left with a cap space devouring Kirk Cousins and a dually ACL injured Michael Penix Jr. So where do they go from here? That is a great question that we haven't really quite seen the answer yet for. But another reason, to keep things a little more recent, another major oversight and mistake by the front office was hiring Raheem Morris as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Would you believe it if I had told you that Raheem Morris was actually the head coach of the Falcons once before? And if they didn't retain him because he wasn't fit for the job? Well, if you said that you didn't believe me, then I would tell you you need to trust the angry Falcons fan on your screen just a little bit more next time, because that's actually the truth. Yes, Raheem Morris, the now and thankfully former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, was named the interim head coach of the team back in October of 2020. He replaced Dan Quinn, who also had a pretty glaring demerit during his tenure in Atlanta, but that's a little bit later on in the video. Morris stepped into the role after serving as the team's defensive coordinator, taking over the winless Falcons squad 5 weeks into the 2020 season. Unfortunately, Morris didn't do much to save the season, as Atlanta went on to lose 7 more games that season, leaving just 4 tallies in the win column. The only highlight of the season was the fact that the 5-week skid was the longest of the season. They didn't lose another 5 in a row the rest of the year. Big whoop, right? Fast forward 4 years, and Raheem Morris is named the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Many fans, including myself, were extremely displeased with this decision by the front office. He was the head coach once already and could only muster up 4 wins, and you're going to run it back? Sure, he was the Rams' defensive coordinator when they won it all in 2022, but barring his coordination success, all of his head coaching stints have been subpar. In fact, under Morris, the Falcons didn't even go 500, and that's including the most recent 2025 season, which had a relatively loaded roster on both sides of the ball, including players like Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, as well as the defensive side with James Pierce Jr., Jalen Walker, and AJ Terrell. So Raheem Morris, another huge mistake and oversight by the Falcons team to try to change things for the better, even though they tried that already and it didn't even work. Now, moving the clock back a bit, nearly a decade at this point, let's take a look at Super Bowl 51. You know it, I know it, 28-3. That's really all I should have to say about this. But a Tevin Coleman touchdown midway through the third quarter would put Atlanta up by 25 points. Yes, 25 points halfway through the third quarter. That's the lead that the Falcons had. The game had to have been won, right? You'd think, obviously, but that's wrong. The New England Patriots, led by a 39-year-old Tom Brady, somehow managed to mount a 31-point comeback and beat the Falcons. In fact, the Falcons had one last chance to pull it off, but couldn't capitalize on the opportunity. The game was actually all tied up at 28 apiece at the end of the fourth quarter, sending it to overtime. But the Birds didn't even get the chance to touch the ball, as the defense gave up an 8-play, 75-yard drive that resulted in a James White touchdown for the New England Patriots and putting the game on ice. Between coaching and lazy playing, the Falcons allowed the largest ever comeback in the Super Bowl era, and it had to be against them. There's really not much more to say about this one. Just the words Super Bowl 51 are enough to make any Falcons fan like myself cringe. Taking things back even further, almost 20 or another decade before that, let's talk about Michael Vick. Michael Vick was supposed to be the Atlanta Falcons franchise quarterback, the one that took the team to the promised land. He was on his way to it, and that was until he got arrested for financing a dogfighting ring. During Vick's time in Atlanta, he passed for over 11,000 yards from 2001 to 2006. Within those 11,000 yards, Vick also had a completion percentage above 50% in all but his rookie season, and his average pass per play ranged anywhere from 5.8 to 7.2 yards per play. That means on average, every other time that he threw the ball, the Falcons were getting a first down on that play. In his final season with the Falcons, he also managed to throw for 20 touchdowns as well. Everything was going great for Vick. He had a home in Atlanta and a supporting fan base around him till it all came crashing down. Vick owned a home on 15 acres of property in Virginia where law enforcement began searching for evidence of dogfighting in April of 2007. While searching for evidence, they found it. Operating under the name Bad News Kennels, officials found over 50 pit bulls and other dogfighting paraphernalia. It took some time for an investigation to fully uncover what exactly happened on Vick's property, but in July of the same year, those working on the case determined that Bad News Kennels had been operating on Vick's property for 5 years. Initially, Mike Vick pleaded not guilty to any of the charges brought against him, but officials brought forth a plea bargain where Vick admitted that he played a role in this dogfighting ring. He paid for dogfights and operations. And in the same plea bargain, Vick also admitted to being a part of the effort to kill dogs that were unfit to fight. However, he remained adamant that he did not kill any dogs directly, nor did he place any side bets on the fights themselves. He merely just financed the location of it and the facilities of it, pretty much. This plea bargain earned him a federal sentence of 23 months in prison and a $5,000 fine. In August of 2007, he was indefinitely suspended by the NFL, and Commissioner Roger Goodell at the time wrote Vick a letter on the matter saying this: "Your admitted conduct was not only illegal, but also cruel and reprehensible. Your team, the NFL, and NFL fans have all been hurt by your actions." So between those three things, are those really enough reasons to say that the Falcons are the most cursed team in the NFL? In my opinion, yes. It seems like the Dirty Birds just cannot catch a break from misfortune. From players getting arrested for dogfighting, to bad coaching hires, and to the biggest Super Bowl blown lead in history, this franchise has been doomed so far. However, this year they have fired the coaches and the front office staff responsible for a lot of those mistakes, and hired longtime quarterback Matt Ryan to be the president of football operations, as well as a whole new coaching staff. Will the Falcons turn it around, or will they just stay a bottom feeder of the NFC South? Really, only time can tell.